Well, you Trivium fans are extremely determined to get me to hear this one, hey. So if you're new here, I'm not the biggest Trivium fan in the world. However, I've been giving you guys the opportunity to get me into this band by giving me songs to react to. And so far, this has been a lot of fun. The last song we did was Kirisuite Gomen from the Shogun album, and that was a solid hit for me. However, there's one song that you guys keep asking for, and that is the album title track itself, and that is Shogun. So that said, I am aware that this is an 11+ minute song, and at the best of times, I can be more like Chatterbox 92. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get straight into this, or we're gonna be here for literal hours. Really good vocal layering in the background, sort of all the whoa-whoa-whoas. Making the chorus sound absolutely huge. However, just before I do want to mention that in this day and age, attention spans are getting a lot shorter. So I'm not so sure if 11-minute songs are a big thing at the minute for a lot of bands. So I'll be interested to see how this one holds my attention, and of course, see if it's as good as you guys say it is. Okay, you guys wanted it. This is Trivium, and this is Shogun. So far, I'm just hearing kind of like a bit of a dirge, really, if I'm honest. It's you know, it's just kind of plodding along. I guess it's set in the scene. But in the space of 11 minutes and 55 seconds, I'm sure there's going to be lots of surprises along the way. So let's keep going. So we are in the key of B minor, which is actually my favorite key, believe it or not, but I guess that figures because on this record, they were pretty much exclusively on 7 strings, right? So my last reaction, I mentioned how interesting it was that the first song on the record didn't come right out of the gate with them ragging away on that low B string on the 7 strings. However, this is sort of the closing track on the album, I believe, so I'm sure we've heard by this point a lot of usage of that low B string, if you like, so it kind of makes sense that they're really using it at this point. And that riff, it's quite quirky, isn't it? So basically what they're doing there is they're just walking along the minor natural scale, okay? So you've got what? Root, major second, minor third, that's the all-important one right there. And then he's landed on the perfect fifth, which kind of brightens it up a little bit. Very cool. Okay, that's a cool riff. Let's keep going. That's interesting. So listen how they're really using the tendency tones within the scale there. They're really maximizing on everything that the minor scale has got to offer in this key. The two really sort of important notes within the minor scale would definitely be the minor third, of course. You know, if you listen to that against the root note, it really darkens things up. But when you go to that minor 6, it's the 6th note in the scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It really sort of puts pressure on things and adds to the tension, right? So it's interesting how he's going to the 5th, and then going up to that minor 6 that really gives it that sense of urgency. So that's good use of the tendency tones, and yeah, it's a good riff. Okay, we're coming in with singing straight away. I really like the use of the octave chords there that really sort of like build the tension underneath the riff. It's a cliche that's been done many times before, but it works, you know, literally just, you've got the main riff going on, you've got some octave chords just walking along that B minor scale. you know, walking up into that minor third note, making things sound really, really dark. It's just a great way to add layers to the song. You can really hear how he's really making use of some interesting sort of chord shapes on the low 7-string notes right there. Obviously, I haven't got 7 strings to play with here right now, but you can really hear, especially over on the right ear there, how he's playing some really sort of thick, dark chords and maybe some inversions in there maybe. If you're wondering what an inversion is, it's basically the notes, the 3 notes that make up a chord, but it's just not starting on the root note. So basically, the way you want to look at it is spaghetti, meatballs, and tomato sauce make spaghetti bolognese. Doesn't matter what order you put them on the plate, you're still going to get that meal. It's the same idea with inversions. You have 3 notes that make up that chord, but it doesn't necessarily, they always need to start with the root note. And look at that, 1 minute 36 into the song, and I'm already waffling. Let's keep going. Okay, so 2 things. Really good vocal layering in the background, sort of all the whoa-whoa-whoas, making the chorus sound absolutely huge. It's amazing what you can do with a song when you just start adding those vocal layers to make things sound, well, huge, right? And here it is. Here's Trivium's, I don't know if it's the first time they've done it, but we've all done it at some point. The classic... that sort of chord progression that we've all heard a million times before. It's kind of the go-to if you want to write a big anthemic chorus or a hit, if you like. So yeah. But I'm not too sure what the chord on the end there is there, because that's a little bit different. But yeah, it works. It's tried and tested. There we go, octave chords. Well, it could be octave chords. It sounds like there might be a bit... It sounds like there's a little bit more going on there. It could be involving the 5th. To get that more sort of grinding sort of sound. But either way, it really works. So, is it just me, or does Matt sound better here than he currently does? I don't know. This is a point of contention, if at all that is the word. From the offset, when I started doing this series, I talked about how I don't really like the vocals with Trivium, and it's those that have sort of put me off in the past. But coming forward into this album, the vocals do seem to be a lot better, but this kind of seems like, I don't know, from what limited songs that I've heard by Trivium, this kind of sounds like the best I've heard so far. Not my favorite, but good. This is nice. Maybe I'm just getting used to it. I don't know. Okay, so the other thing, they've nailed the chorus transitions with this one. On the last song, we talked about how like the chorus just came in so abruptly. You know, they had all these great riffs and stuff. You know, it was like the song was going and going and going, and then, oh, now it's time for the chorus. And you're like, oh, right, okay, where did that come from? And the second time it came round, or maybe the last time it came round, it's almost like they couldn't find a way to get into it, so they just stopped the song dead, and it's like 2, 3, 4, and then carried on with it. However, the transition in this song from the verses into the chorus is a lot smoother, so good songwriting. Did I hear that right? I can't wait to rip your veins out. Right, let me have a look at the lyrics. Okay, so I was sort of right and I was sort of wrong. So time will not heal your pain. I cannot wait for all this to come crashing down on your face, ripping your veins out. Nice. Your insides win and kill you from within. Wow. Yeah, so looking at some of this, flesh opens up, blood's retreating, flesh opens up, blood's retreating, death's embracing, all is ending. You know, I guess a lot of this is that sort of cliche Trivium lyricism that I'm kind of aware of, a lot of sort of metaphorical and storytelling ideas mixed in with, you know, riding a horse into battle and slaying your enemy and all that sort of stuff and conquering. Okay, so we're 3 minutes, 20 seconds in, and usually this is where a modern day sort of, you know, metal song or songs in general, it's where they're starting to sort of wind down, or maybe you're hitting the bridge and things are going to start to wrap up, but we got a lot ahead of us right here, so I'm expecting the song to take a little bit more of a turn, which it sort of is. He's really going for it with the vocals. That sounds good. He's really he's really roaring there. Okay, where are we going next? So is that not the end of the song? No? That's interesting. I wonder, you know, we're at 4 minutes now. I wonder if the song was first written as that. That seemed to be like a conclusion at that point. So I wonder if the choice was made, you know, like, no, we can keep adding to this. Let's keep going and going and going. So let's see where it goes. So I really like the whole idea of this Master of Puppets kind of clean bridge. It's a great way to stop a song in its tracks and take it off somewhere else. I could even hear some acoustic guitars coming in over in the right ear there, but yeah. I really like how we're sort of playing around with this B minor chord, and it might not be exactly how they're playing it, obviously, but coming back around to the harmonic minor idea, the raised 7 idea that we talked about in the last video, right? So we talked about that in the last video, the harmonic minor note, the importance of it, the raised 7 in the minor scale, how it automatically brings doom and gloom and despair to your what's been a very sort of peppy song to this point, I guess. But as soon as you hit that note, landing on that note right there, that 7, that major 7 note, it just makes everything sour, if you like. There you go, listen to that. So again, in the last video, we talked about how that chord right there would usually be a minor chord within the key. However, when you switch it to major, it makes everything sound very sort of classical and dark. So they're using the same techniques as they did in the first song. But I remember in the comments, you guys said there is a link between Kirasute Gomen and this song, or a chord progression link or something like that. So maybe that's starting to manifest now, although we are in a completely different key. But it's interesting, they're kind of bringing it full circle.
Is now quickening softly, it's painstaking. Look with them to calm the storm raging inside the form.
I really like how the panning is done here. I like how the clean guitar is sort of over in the left and the acoustic guitar is all the way over in the right.
There's no turning back.
Okay, so what's that trick? So basically, he switched over to the relative major, which is D. Okay, so for every minor key that you have, you'll have a relative major key with exactly the same chords in it. How you want to think of it is it's basically two sides of the same coin. So basically, if you're sort of coming from the minor aspect, which is B, in this case B minor, you know, all the chords that you'll be playing with, you know, are going to sound dark if you keep resolving back to that minor chord. However, if you switch over to the relative major, which is D major, okay, for this key, it brightens things, you know, so that's basically what's going on there. So not like a... There it is, right there, D major. So basically, it's not like a true key change, they've just switched over to the major perspective of things. Oh, this is all very interesting. Okay, so that's interesting. Keeping it metal, I guess, you know, because you can't make it too happy, right? Even though we've switched over to a D major, he's kind of throwing in that minor second note, which is always a half step away from the root note, right? So if you've got D right here, just by going to that note next door, it's going to make things sound dark. So he's kind of going back and forth between ideas there, which is interesting. So you wouldn't usually find that note in the key. So that's what's giving it that sense of anxiety. It's like, we're happy, but it's still heavy metal. Very clever. Okay. Very, very nice. Very sort of tasteful. You know, I love B minor so much. Because it's got such an emotive feel to it. So, you know, keys do lend themselves to certain vibes. and feels and stuff like that. So that sort of use of the B minor pentatonic there, or the B blues scale, whatever it is he's doing, you know, it really lends itself to that sort of jazzy vibe, if you like. So these are really, really good guitar players, without a doubt. And you want to know who else are really good guitar players? Bullet for My Valentine. Yeah, this is probably going to be a really awkward time to make this plug, but your boy's got to eat. So I want to take a moment to mention my Bullet for My Valentine guitar lesson library. If you've fallen prey to bad Bullet for My Valentine tabs in the past, and there's a little bit of confusion there and you want to learn their songs properly, head over to my Bullet for My Valentine guitar lesson library, which is over on my Patreon page. This is my ever-growing series of Bullet for My Valentine guitar lessons where I break down all their songs and teach you all the guitar parts. Members of the library can also request what songs I do, so if you head on over there and you don't see the song you want to learn, get yourself signed up, put your request in, and you'll get full priority on what I do. The lessons are also available for one-off purchase on my Patreon shop as well, so you can just buy the lessons outright rather than signing up monthly if that's what you'd prefer. And that's not all. Members also get access to the stems for each song that I do, so that's guitars, bass, drums, and vocals. They also get access to my quick lessons series, which are more just general guitar lessons, where I share my love of guitar theory and other things. So yeah, this is 100% the best way that you guys can support this channel, other than hitting like and subscribe, of course. So if you want some Bullet for My Valentine guitar lessons, which are in-depth and as accurate as I can possibly get them, head over to my Patreon page and see what's over there. There it is. It's always a great idea, you know, if you go a major, to suspend it as well. Add those little extra note choices in. I also think the chromaticism is really interesting that you've got going on there with the yeah, it's very much like a line cliche at that point, I suppose. But the chords sort of staying the same on top, and then you're just moving the bass notes on the bottom. Sort of. I'd have to investigate it a bit deeper, but the chromaticism, again, is what is sort of keeping it anchored to the genre. You know, again, just because we're a major, you know, it doesn't mean that it's not heavy metal. They're still doing very sort of heavy metal cliches within. So yeah, this is really interesting. Okay, so we're starting to get heavier now, a little bit. Wait, hang on, right. I'm not ready for that bit yet, I'm still taking in the last bit. So suppose lyrically there's a lot of depth, or I guess you could sort of read into it as much as you wanted to, but I kind of like the juxtaposition there of, if you succeed in this battle, you will lose so much more. You know, it makes you think. We spend our lives chasing the dream and all that sort of stuff, you know, and sometimes when you sort of reach what you've achieved and you're at the top of that hill, as it were, it's kind of like, well, now what? Do you know what I mean? And the song might not be about that at all, but that's just kind of how I'm reading into that little line there that I like quite a bit. Without the human struggle, without the work ethic and putting in the grind, you know, what do we have? Yes, you've achieved what you've looked to achieve, but at the top of that hill, a lot of the time it's like, where else is there to go? So sometimes it's always good to have the next goal lined up for yourself. So no matter what you're striving to achieve, you know, you can't just sit back and rest on that once you're at the top of it. You know, a lot of people get bored, I guess, you know, so it's important to have the struggle and have the grind and have the motivation to work things. It's what keeps us ticking over and keeps us going as humans.
Sorry for
Right, what is going on here? So we've moved into more of like a swing beat, and it's kind of reminded me of Bohemian Rhapsody, kind of coming out of that weird section and into like a da na 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 na. Yeah, I didn't see that coming. Okay. So we're starting to make our way back into the darker territory now. Just the way they were building that up with tremolo picking. Think about dynamics in your songwriting. If you're going to build back up into something heavy and dark and epic, and you've been in a quieter section, how are you going to climb that mountain, if you like? How are you going to get to that next part? And there's nothing better than ascending trem-picked patterns for that, I suppose. And that's really good, you know. They for everything that the drums are doing there, which is quite, you know, going for it. He's literally just he's literally just going through the notes in the scale and resolving on the root each time, and you can hear how he's sounds angry, you know, and the riff is quite simple, and he's just kind of wanting to just reinforce the point home there just by bang hitting a load of bottom notes on that low 7th string, right? And it's a really good exercise, you know, for your knowledge of the intervals within the scales and how they work and why they work. I've got a whole lesson on that sort of thing in my quick lesson series, but you know, he's going minor 3rd, root, perfect 4th, root, 5th, root, minor 6th, root. It really allows you to get to know what role those intervals play within the scale, and also how you can just use them to build effectively. I love riffs that do that. You know, da na 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 na. You know, I'm tuned differently, but the whole. You know, just ragging along the 6th string, just keeping it simple. You know, you're sort of climbing the fretboard like a ladder. Love that. And yeah, the solo was great, fun, impressive and all that, but I was far more interested again in the rhythm section underneath, right? We've talked about this before in the last couple of videos that I've done on this band, but a guitar solo without a good rhythm section underneath is like trying to paint without a canvas. The riff that was happening underneath was really good. It was, you know, it kind of made me want to pick up my guitar, you know. And that's what a good rhythm section should be. You should want to be able to play over it, not just, well, we got this section, we need a solo, anything will do. You know, if the rhythm section is good, you're going to want to start noodling and playing over it. Right, recommend more stuff like this, please. Next, yeah? This is good. Like, the vocals are much better. Yeah, I really like... Ooh! I really like how he's going for it. It's not the best heavy metal vocals, but now I'm starting to know a little bit about this band and, you know, give things a chance. You know, I can really hear him like putting the effort in there and going for it. And I can sort of see him when he's doing that sort of, you know, with his Les Paul round his neck, sort of pouting his chest out like he does to, you know, sort of bellowing down into the microphone. You know, music should take you on a journey, and I can certainly visualize at least Matt Heffy doing his thing when I'm listening to this, you know. So yeah, this is good. I think this is definitely a good album worth investigating more on. You guys were right. I hate to say it, but you were right. Unison harmony bands, they're always your friend. And then the pentatonic runs as well. Tried and tested, they're always your friend if you just want to make some noise on the guitar. Back into the riff. See what I'm saying? Again, the idea of walking up through the scale, the pedal points. There's your B note. When it gets to the top there, when it hits that minor 6, that's where the urgency is. Yeah? Very cool. And then counterpoint is always good. Okay, we're going back into that chorus, right? The ripping the veins out thing still makes me laugh. You know, because that chorus, you know, we've heard that in so many pop songs and stuff like that. You know, it's just like, ripping your veins out. Yeah, but I guess, say what you mean to say, I guess. Oh, are we going out how we came in? Oh no, don't fade, don't fade. Please don't fade out. We've got a couple more minutes. It's fading, isn't it? Is that? Okay. Oh, I hate a fade out. Okay. I'll let it play, just so I can say I've listened to the whole thing. Ten seconds left. Okay, I guess that's it. Yeah, right. Okay, what do I have to say about this one? As I said in the last video, I was very sort of aware that I kept stopping the song, but I think it's important to react to these things in real time as they're coming to you, because You know, that's nearly 12 minutes worth of song there. If I let it play and then I get to the end of it, I'm going to be like, hang on a minute. You know, there's a lot to unpack there, and I'm going to forget most of it. But a lot of you guys said in the comments you didn't mind me stopping the song as we go along and break things down a little bit. So hope you've been good with that. But yeah, I think that's a good closer to the album. It's got some really good riffs in there. I like that whole or however it goes. I like the groove of that riff. And then I love sort of in the back end of it there, that whole thing where they're sort of pedaling off of the low B string at that point, I guess it would be. Yeah, it's got all the makings for a big, epic heavy metal track. And I suppose when you're gonna go in with the idea of it being an 11-minute song, you know, you're kind of going back to the roots there, aren't you? Think about, you know, your Master of Puppets and all that sort of stuff, and Metallica being big influences on bands such as this. You know, a lot of the track lengths on those albums were long. You know, Master of Puppets is like an 8-minute song or something like that. So you need to have dynamics, otherwise you're just gonna lose the listener. So yeah, there was enough in there to keep me entertained throughout. There was enough dynamics and riffs and stuff like that, and changes in order to keep my interest invested in seeing the song right the way to the end. And one other point that I want to make here is when I first started doing this, a lot of it came from you guys saying, how can you like Bullet My Valentine and not like Trivium? You know, so I was kind of, you know, I was interested in, okay, well, let's see why, you know what I mean? And let's investigate. However, I was starting to get some comments saying like, oh, if you like Bullet for My Valentine, you'll love this Trivium song. It's the closest thing they've got to Bullet. And actually, what I'm looking for is stuff that sounds nothing like Bullet for My Valentine, yeah? I want to hear Trivium doing Trivium. I want it to sound as far away from Bullet for My Valentine as possible. But you know, with Trivium, they're a completely different band to me. They sound different in a lot of ways. And I'm looking for something fresh and something different, which is why I guess I'm doing these videos with you guys, because it's fun for you guys to try and pull me around into the band, and it's fun for me to hear something different. So with your voting for the next song, I'll open another community post, or you can leave them down below in this video. I'll take them all into consideration and they will count as a vote. Just remember, 1 vote per person. Please feel free to be as out there as possible. You know, apparently Science in the Snow is not an enjoyable album. It might be their sort of temper, if you like, for a lot of you guys, or that's what I've heard. Recommend me something off of that. I want to see why it's bad. But at the same time as that, I am looking for good, I suppose. So yeah, Shogun, what a track. That's been a lot of fun. Please keep them coming. I've really enjoyed putting this together. If you've stayed for the duration of this video, because I'm assuming that it's came out very, very long, thank you so much. I appreciate you all so much. I appreciate your interaction. I appreciate you guys voting and being part of this. And as one final serious note now, of course, I'm aware of the current Bullet for My Valentine and Trivium situation. The whole idea behind this is I've got a load of Bullet for My Valentine viewers, but I know a lot of Bullet for My Valentine fans like Trivium, so you know, and vice versa. So I figured, you know, maybe I could get some of the Trivium fans over to this channel and we can all have a good time together. So regardless of what's going on within the Bullet and the Trivium camp at the minute, they're both great bands. Their music is still incredible. So let's just all enjoy the music together. Leave all the band stuff outside for now and just be good to each other in the comments and stuff like that. And let's keep it positive and let's continue having a good time together. I think it's important for the music to speak for itself, and it's more than doing that at the minute. So let's continue having a nice time, I guess, without letting what's going on sort of have an effect on things. So there you go, guys. I guess that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this has lived up to the reaction that you were hoping for. This has been Shogun by Trivium. Let me know what you guys want to see next. And until next time, I will see you all in the next one. Take care, guys. Peace.